welcome to today's episode of The Get Together. Yes, we've gotten together again, and I'm Andrea. I'm here with Grace. Hello. Dave and Ruben. We're just four of us today, and we're here because it's time for summer. The warm weather is coming up, and we're talking about vacations and concerts and all that good stuff that comes up.
And with vacations, and with summer or winter or Christmas, whatever it might be, we need to purchase items and buy things. And we have a very interesting program today because it's very relevant to all of us. And I'm going to let you tell us about it.
Thanks, Dave. Right, so one of the things that's I'm sure has been on everybody's mind the last couple of years is this concept of shrinkflation, where I'm sure we've all noticed when we go shopping that the prices of items have gone up, and yet the packaging has gone down now, or shrunk, hence the term inflation. For instance, I happen to notice, and I'm sure you've noticed this as well, that over the years, tuna fish cans, for instance, tuna, right? Tuna, I think, used to come in a can of I think 8 ounces or 9 ounces, and now it's down to I think 5 or 6 ounces, and yet the price of a can of tuna could be $1.50, $1.75. Now I also happen to notice that my shampoo, for instance, that I use used to come in a 38-ounce bottle, and now it's 28 ounces, and it's more expensive. My ice cream, right, used to come in a container of I think it was 500 grams, and now it's down to I think 450 grams, and yet the price has gone up. But I did a little research, and one of the things that I found out is that this has not occurred basically recently. In other words, it's not, a lot of people blame COVID and supply chain issues, but in thinking back, I realized that this has been going on for like 70, 80 years.
Yes, let me comment on that. Now, when we talk about the tuna, I think you're a little bit behind the times when you talk about a can, because most of the tunas come in the aluminum packages where you open up the package and then you can go in and take the tuna out and you can see what the ounces, how many ounces you have, and you can get the low salt tuna, low sodium tuna, the different kinds, some with the mayonnaise, some with the salad, and that's how the tuna is. Now also when you start to talk about shampoo, that's another issue. You have your milliliters, you have your ounces, and yes, the prices are going up, but I find if you get the larger bottles, you're actually doing better, because when you are taking the shampoo out to put in your hair, it's very hard to get it all out from the bottom, or with tubes also. And if you're getting the smaller ones, you think you're saving money by getting a few, but it's hard since it's hard to get it all out, you're losing so much, so you're wasting. And if you have the bigger one, you're actually getting out a greater percentage of what's in there. Now also talk about cereal boxes. Now cereal boxes, big box, they say ounces, but when you open it, you see a lot of like dead air, what you would have in broadcasting, and what you would have in photography, they call it negative space, empty space. And that's what we have.
No, but what I'm referring to is the fact that prices have gone up, relatively speaking, across the board, and yet what we're purchasing, the items themselves, have actually shrunk in size. You follow what I'm saying? So for instance, you mentioned boxes of cereal. Boxes of cereal that used to be, 16 ounces, let's say, are now 10 ounces, and you're paying more for the 10-ounce box than you were for the larger box. And I mentioned tuna. I mentioned shampoo. It's literally across the board. You're talking about dead air, packages of potato chips, the big family-sized packages of potato chips. Those packages may have stayed the same relative to their size, right? The outside of the packaging, but the contents themselves on the inside, it's no longer 16 ounces. In some cases, it's 10 ounces, and yet the package has remained the same.
Okay, now, we're all talking about packages and food and stuff like that. But since the weather is getting warmer now, supposedly in months of May and June, July, and August, how about Coney Island, hot dogs? How about going to concerts? How about going to picnics and places that bring the sunshine into our lives? Because weather like this, 100 degrees, 90 degrees, then one day it's 40 degrees, but it perks up. So we have to be very appreciative of what we have today, about food, about the climate, about our ideas that we have when we inspire in these warm weathers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but Reuben, would you continue with the well?
Well, anyway, so
she's
my-
making it-
right, so I
you're making
I
it
understand.
making it relevant to all of us, all of these things. Go ahead.
But the point I was going to make is that all of us shop. We go to the supermarket, we go to the grocery store, whatever, and I'm sure that we've all noticed that the prices of items have gone up, and yet what we're buying, we're actually buying less, relatively speaking, for the same amount of money. But what I realized, as I said earlier in the opening, is that this has been going on for many years. And the reason I came to that conclusion is that I remember as a child buying cupcakes. Now, when I was growing up, we had Hostess cupcakes
Oh, boy.
and we had Drake's cupcakes. Now, Hostess came two in a package, and they were, like devil's food cake, really heavy, and you had the chocolate topping, the icing, the chocolate icing on the top with a white squiggle of icing. And then you had the Yankee Doodles, which came three in a package, and they were just plain devil's food cake cupcakes, three in a package.
Very healthy food.
And I preferred the Yankee Doodle cupcakes only because they came three in a package. And in my mind, three is better than two. And I remember my mother going to the grocery store and getting me the 3-pack of Yankee Doodles, and I would eat two right away. And the third one I would save for like 5 minutes later. But to me, three was better than two. But what I realized is that when I became a teenager, I couldn't find the 3-pack of Yankee Doodles anymore. They had shrunk to two in a package. And we're talking maybe 60 years ago. So this whole idea of shrinkflation that a lot of people talk about really goes back
It's been going on.
it's been going on. I think for most of us, though, maybe we just happen to notice it. But I'm sure that if we think back, we can come up with other things besides my Yankee Doodle
Well, children's
example.
eyes tend to be a little bigger than their stomachs, and they see things in Technicolor and they make them bigger. But maybe you're living in the past a little bit, but we really do need to live in the present. And I've actually eaten some of these foods, and with the sugar, and
They're not good for you.
they're not good for you. They also don't taste as good as they did years ago.
Really?
Really, really. The cinnamon on those
Well, I've
coffee
never
cake
had
juniors.
anything lately, but
Yeah, and
Oh,
some
those
of
coffee cake, those were Drake's coffee
Yes,
cakes.
they were.
They were
With the little
terrific.
duck
Ruben
on
likes
them.
all the cakes
They
and
were,
the
they were
sweets.
terrific.
All the sweets that you
But
find.
we really need, also, our older bodies shouldn't have as much
of
sugar
any of it. I
and
can't.
should be really eating more healthy foods, fruits, vegetables, whole
But we
grain
will all
bread.
agree that, in general, prices have gone up, and yet the quantity of the items that we're purchasing has shrunk.
I agree with him. You can really use that analogy in just about anything that you buy today.
You have to go to the supermarket and look at the prices. Oh, okay, this is too expensive. Let me go get this and get that price. You don't have to
By the way,
keep
and
on-
that's why I only buy hot dogs at Costco.
Me too. That well, we don't want to mention. We're not allowed to mention commercial products, but we got the okay from our director and producer. It's okay.
Well, you need to manage your money better, maybe invest better CDs, but you need to just watch what you're doing and
Or
what
eat
you're
less.
spending, or eat less.
Or eat
Now, also, okay, you talk about shrinkflation. Most of us, physically, personally, I wouldn't say we're shrinkflation. We could all use losing a few pounds. right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay, so eating less
Except
might
for- except for
actually
Grace.
be
She's
a
in good
good thing.
well, the good thing is sometimes you can get a sale if you know where to go and shop around and still have the little bit of from 10 ounces to 8 ounces. It can come up 15 ounces sometimes if you're a smart shopper.
Yeah. Well, with food, though, I think what Ruben is telling you that the price is up and you're getting a lot less than you did maybe 5 years ago or 3 years ago. And that's true with
True.
everything.
That's true.
With the hot dog, somebody told me yesterday, I don't know who it was.
I mean, hot dogs too are going to be shrinking. If you see the little ones,
well, those are for parties.
party ones, yeah.
I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, we've had enough about food. What?
Wait a
oh,
minute.
and we need to go to a break now.
Oh, we do.
Yes, it is time.
Okay, let's get some honey.
So it's yeah. And we'll be back shortly.
A hot dog break. Hi, folks. Yes, I'm a dog person. For the past 20 years, I've had dogs in my life. You know, there's a house in my neighborhood I walk by with my dog almost every day. The current owners moved in about 2 years ago. The previous owners had a small dog. In front of their house, next to the curb, there was a patch of grass about 15 feet long where they would let their dog do its business. These patches of grass are common sights all across suburbia. Anyway, one day I'm walking my dog past this house. My dog starts sniffing that patch of grass. He must have found, you know, that sweet spot, and he pees on it. Now, as we walk away, the homeowner comes out running, yelling at me to keep my dog off her grass. To this day, I'm baffled.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hey, for all you young folks out there, this is for you. You think you know everything? All you Generation X, Y, and Zers, and you alphas. You know, there's a group in our society that has a wealth of information to share with you. I'm referring to our retired citizenry. They've worked 30, 40 years, made some mistakes, but learned many things along their journey. And they're willing to share this knowledge with you. Some of these people may be your parents, some your grandparents. Just ask and listen. Don't be dismissive. Remember, one day you will grow up to be as stupid as you think they are.
We're back for our second segment of the Get Together today, and we're going to switch from food to another necessity we have, clothing. We're going to take this more from our point of view. We'll talk about fashion from a woman's point of view. Prices have gone up, but the quality we find has gone down, especially with a lot of the new, quote, organic fabrics that they have. They're thinner. A lot of them, the younger people accept this and they wear it a few times and throw it away. But we like our oldies but goodies of clothes. What do you think, Grace?
Well, looking at women's clothing and going to the stores, I noticed that some of the designs that they have, I don't like them. I think they're shabby, my point of view. I'm more of a person who has a casual type of look in their clothes. I don't like all that fancy stuff and exposure and stuff like that. And then when I feel the material, I say years ago, we had such quality material that lasted 30, 40 years. Today, you wear it once or twice, it's ripped here. I had a coat I bought. I think I washed it 2 times. The lining ripped, I had to sew it. Lining ripped again, I had to sew it. I said, this is ridiculous. You used to buy years ago clothes, whether it was summer, spring, autumn, winter. It lasted you.
You know, you have to read the care instructions on the label before you wash it. Maybe that has something to do with it.
I don't care if you wash it by hand. You're still, it goes like this. So I don't care.
Some things they tell you not to wash. They take it to a dry
Sometimes, yeah.
cleaner, but that's
Some,
expensive.
but very few. And also, I think the dry cleaning business with more of these synthetic fabrics
Yeah.
and more that people are washing. Do you really clean things? I used to only clean like coats and occasionally, but now some of the coats, especially the fiber fill, the nylon on the outside, even some of the winter coats, you can put in the washing machine.
Or
dry.
sweaters. What I used to do, I wouldn't take it to the cleaners. One time I took a top I had, because the label, like you said, label shows you have to do a certain way. Well, I took it home and I said, I paid the cleaner to have it clean. And I didn't have time. Something came up and I decided to get Woolite. And I soaked it in the Woolite. You should see the dirt that came out of that sweater. Oh my
Wait,
God.
did you ever think that maybe there's a conspiracy among the manufacturers that they want us to purchase more, so they make things on the cheap side, so that they
Yes.
don't last,
Something
so
to
that
that.
we actually go and have to go and buy new clothes every couple of months instead of, I mean, look, when we were growing up, right, you had a pair of shoes that lasted a year before,
Yeah.
you were allowed to buy another pair of shoes, and somehow those shoes lasted, right?
But then
The
you were
same-
growing when you're.
Well, but it is possible that that the manufacturers are doing this.
You have a
intentionally.
point there, Ruben. As far as that goes, the prices are going up in clothing, yet the value is worthless of whatever you buy, tops, pants, shirts, whatever it is that you buy. The quality is not the same, and you're paying more for something.
There you go. That's his premise, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, in the past, they used to get you to want to buy new clothing because of fashion. A new color comes in, a new style, the lengths of, well, for women, hem lengths of dresses, different necks, different prints. But now it's just the quality of the fabric itself. A lot of things just don't last that long.
Well, we also have these stores that are selling clothing. For you can buy a pair of shoes for $5. You can buy a shirt for $5, $6, $7, and the reason that it's so inexpensive is obviously it's made cheaply, but it's not going to last. Now maybe it's good if you have young children at home who are growing, like you said, so their size changes pretty rapidly. But the adult clothing though, maybe it is made like I said, it's made so it shouldn't last. So we go out and
Get something new.
Spend more
get
money
something new
when
on
the
a more
cost of
frequent
everything
basis.
going up, and you don't get the value of it. Years ago, you didn't pay that much, and you got more quality out of the clothing that you buy. I mean, it's changing.
you could take the same concept to automobiles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, the autos were made out of steel. Right. If you
Buick
you
used
could
to
sit
be
on the
steel.
fender of a car and not worry that you're going to dent it because the fenders were all made out of steel. Today, the front of the cars are all fiberglass or plastic. Right. If you lean on it, you're probably going to
If
crack
you
it.
remember, Buick used to be the real hard rock. I mean, if another car would hit it, it wouldn't be a dent, not even a dent on the Buick. If you go way back when they used to make the cars.
GM. Well, that would be GM cars. Buick, Cadillac, Chevy, all of them.
Yeah, like Ruben says, today's it's fabric. It's like
Well, they're trying to
just
make
one
them.
little dent.
They want to make them safer. So certain materials they might use for the benefit of the driver and the passenger, that if they were in an accident, the quality is there, but it's not necessarily made out of steel. They probably did some testing, and that some of that material, if you were in an accident, would be a little safer for you. That's what I think it is. They're all into safety.
I don't know about the computer system. Don't have to hold the wheel. How do you know
I
that?
agree with that. That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's
I don't like the fact that you can eventually drive a car and not just sit there. That doesn't turn me on. I need to have control over the car.
Me too.
What is that about? But somebody tested that. What's that the rich guy who made cars? Oh, thank you
Elon
very
Musk.
much. Our director and producer helped us because
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk? No, Elon Musk.
No.
He made supposedly the cars the cars that run themselves. He ran into some snags. They're not. The concept was good, but they're not selling. So, and I'm glad
That's true.
because
well,
let's
I don't
take-
know. That may change because they're finding that sometimes mechanism, the motor, is defective because they're not using people; they're using machines, these robots. Okay, and
been doing that
there were
for years.
cases of people. One gentleman was telling me once he was driving on I-95, a brand new car, okay, and he said that was his business, going out in the field, and he said all of a sudden on I-95, the whole motor just fell down. Couldn't go no place.
That's
We didn't
quite
have
unusual,
cell phones in
but-
those days either.
But my
he-
question is, did his clothing survive?
We're talking about clothing, so yeah.
The clothing and the car, how we got into this was the fact that we're talking about modern time, what everything is costing, no matter what it is, to what it used to be. The quality we had back then to the quality we have now. We're paying more for something that's not worth.
Follow the money. If the companies that make clothing, cars, food can make more money on what they sell, they're going to do it. That's the issue, I think. Do you agree?
And one of the biggest offenders of that is the technology companies. With the cell phones, they have to upgrade like almost
Right.
every other year.
Right.
And the computers, and most of us do not even use half
I don't
of the
use-
options that they have available to us.
We hadn't
We
had we
simply
had a
don't
cell phone
know.
for 7 years, almost 6 years, 7 years. We never updated to anything. Why? Except we did now because we didn't have certain things that we got used to, you see.
Yeah, they push you from 4G. No,
Yeah.
no, our towers aren't going to accommodate that anymore. You have to upgrade to
Right.
5G.
But you realize that the marketing for all this, whether it's automobiles or clothing or cell phones, the marketing is not aimed at our generation because they know that we're not going to fall for a lot of the marketing gimmicks that are being thrown out there. It's primarily marketed for younger people, right? We're not going to change our
good point.
clothing. How many suits do we
Demographics.
have? How many gowns do you own at this point in your life? They're not marketing for us.
And the
You know,
younger
so,
people.
so
At
if
all.
we don't, so if we don't change our phones every other year or every 5 years, they don't care.
Sometimes you don't have a
because
choice.
because they're not marketing for us.
They're marketing
for
to
younger people.
Can you give an age range? I used to know it when in radio and TV. We knew 18 to 45 was an age range that the kids or the younger people had the money to buy things. And they found out that that's the way to go in advertising. That doesn't mean a person's 55 years old or 60 years old doesn't count. They do count, but they're looking for something that fits their needs. It's not what the kids or the younger people want.
But do a lot of the kids have the money these days? They're having a
The
tough
ki- those
time getting
kids in that
started in
demographic
careers.
aren't worried about money because they can always go to their parents for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's happening.
Some of them still
So-
live with their parents. Many
Right.
of
So,
Some, yeah.
so if they need the money for something, they'll go to their parents.
But not everybody
But that's where
has
the
that
marketing. I mean,
opportunity.
who's buying?
There are
Who's
people that
getting a
can't.
new cell phone? Every other year,
Which-
or every 3 years. It's not people of our generation, for the most part.
That's
It's
true.
It's the younger people.
Yeah.
And I know my friends who have kids and grandchildren, as soon as they hit the 5th, 6th grade or 7th grade, they get a phone.
Yeah, you hear
And,
that all the time.
I would go back, I mean, when I was in the 5th, 6th, 7th grade, What do I need a phone for? I would go home and use the phone at home if I needed it. So it's become it's a whole new industry where the companies that make the phones and the towers and everything else is making a lot of money. It's follow the buck.
Well, you know, the other thing, Dave, is that when we were in the 5th grade or the 6th grade, it would have been really hard to carry the phone from the house to school. Don't you think?
Yes, a regular phone.
You couldn't. I mean, you needed to be tethered to that phone at
Right, I
home,
mean,
and the
those-
wires.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Now you have the option of, and over the last 30 years, the world has changed astronomically.
By the way, talking about phones, there was a very interesting article that I read in yesterday's paper. You know, there's a lot of opinions about whether or not kids in elementary school, middle school, or high school should be allowed to bring their phones to school.
That's enough. Yeah, I
And
was leading to that.
There's
Yeah.
a school in Connecticut that has set a precedent. It appears that the principal of the school, he got a lot of flack from parents initially, but they do not, all the kids have to check their phones in before they enter the building. And they, you know, they have these high-tech, things you drop your phone in, and then on the way out, when you leave school,
You pick up your phone.
you pick up your phone. So it turns out in the beginning, when they thought of doing this, they did get backlash from the parents because a number of parents were concerned, how am I going to get in touch with my child if it's an emergency or whatever? But they overcame that, which I thought was kind of strange because those parents that were complaining about that, they grew up in an atmosphere where there were no cell phones, and if there was an emergency, somehow, miraculously, their parents were able to get in touch with them. Anyway,
Our generation.
it turns out that
Right.
that high school, after the first 2 weeks, the kids in the school went through a withdrawal. But after the 2 weeks, they started talking to one another in the lunchroom,
Wow.
the cafeteria. They would walk the hallways instead of their heads, bowed down, looking at their cell phone. They actually started looking up. And this has spread from a high school in Connecticut to a number of schools in Rhode Island and I think Massachusetts now. And I'm just wondering
Interesting.
if that's something that
But
could
you know,
catch on in
but,
other
but,
in
but
other
you know
states.
something that added to the cell phone you're talking about. I was told by one person that the mother had this child, and this child was ready to take a test for some subject that she was going to be doing, the whole class. And she got the answer from the cell phone somehow, and the mother caught her and said, oh, no. She grabbed the phone from her, and she said, now for a month, you're not going to have this phone, okay? Because she was stealing the information from the question to pass and get 100 on the test. You see,
But that's what kids have been doing.
That's been going on, and
Yeah, that's-
now the
For
school.
years, it's called an open book test.
Right. Well,
Like when you
this is even
used to
better.
take tests with a calculator. I mean, everyone has calculators. Everyone can do things.
But you still had to know how to use the calculator
you did.
to get the answer.
That's what-
And even in an open book test, you had to know where to look in the textbook to get the answer.
Okay,
Now
well,
with a
if-
phone, all you
If
do
there's
is
an
you speak.
emergency, if your car breaks down, aren't you glad you have a phone to call
Absolutely.
AAA?
I like that.
I
That's the
mean,
only
there
reason
are
I
things
want-
that you really need.
That's the only
No,
reason.
Okay.
but I'm talking about what's been going on in the educational system, where
Yeah.
the schools allow kids into the building with their phones, and instead of listening to the teacher up front give a class, they're on
They're
their
doing
phone.
a phone under-
What if
looking
you
at
have
their
a
text
parent, you have
messages.
to accommodate for a child that you have to take care of? A
Yes,
parent could be in the hospital. Sometimes you need to be in
What
touch
did we?
with
So
someone.
what did we do when we were growing up? How did we survive?
We did, but
But
times
what?
have changed. You need to move with the times. Now, also, our time is running short. We're
Oh.
coming to the end of this get-together. We've had a heated argument as we come into the summer months. We
I-
have some differences of
I
opinions.
even opened my shirt, it was so
That's
heated.
great. Dave, that's wonderful.
Actually, when we leave here, I've got to get a new phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
my neck.
we have a lot of food for thought, good clothing, and things to talk about. So soon we will be getting together again. And that's it for now. Everybody wave goodbye.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. Join us next time.